I said it on the show.
They can't hear me. Now they can hear me. Welcome in, folks, to B&T Sports Talk Show. B is on fire today because things didn't go as according to plan or as intended, we'll say. Well, first off, if this is your first time listening to us, go ahead and hit that subscribe button, hit the notification button, and like the video. And thanks for joining us after two pretty good games. They were both competitive. I would say both teams had equal opportunities to make some plays this game, and it just came down to some did and some did not. So we're going to dive directly into that and talk about these two games today and get in depth with it. I want y'all to send, prayers and, and good vibes and all that over to my man because he had a tough day today. His Ravens didn't fare so well, and then the Niners came through somehow and managed to get back into the game and win it today. So B-Man, how you holding up, man?
Oh, man, I'm good. These guys don't pay my bills, so I still got to go to work on Tuesday. But, yeah, man, it was still pretty bad to watch. We'll talk about that game last, thank God. But let's talk about the game that just ended, yo.
Yeah, so let's talk about the Detroit Lions in their first NFC Championship game since 1983. Oh, man, with the opportunity to go to the Super Bowl, and they did not disappoint. I want to remind everybody the Detroit Lions coming into this game were a 7.5 dog, okay? And they came out like gangbusters and put the Niners in a position where they had no choice but to respond. And, man, I got to tell you, this game was full of opportunities missed by the Detroit Lions, from drop passes to dropped interceptions to going for it inexplicably on fourth down a bazillion times when they just needed to put points
Campbell
on the board.
At his finest.
And it came back to bite them. I love the aggressiveness, but it just really looked like they weren't able to do what they needed to do to win this game. They just needed one or two more plays, and they couldn't get it. I have to say, and before we move on, I have to say that one play, I believe it was in the third quarter, where they had an opportunity for a touchdown and Goff misses. I think it was a Gibbs in the back of the end zone.
Yeah.
And then they end up not being able to get anything out of it. Little stuff like that, man. They just weren't able to convert. But anyway, I'm going to jump. While I open up the stats, B, give me some, how'd you feel about the game, man? What was your feelings on the Niner game?
Man, I don't know what was said in that Niner locker room at halftime, but that first half that the Lions put on them, dude, they set the tone early. A 7-play drive in about a minute and 30 seconds. All they did was just run the ball.
It was 4 plays
to start off the game.
Yeah.
Four plays for a touchdown.
Yep.
They set the tone early and in the first half. But after that, I mean, they forced Jared Goff to really be more of a pocket passer. And to be quite honest with you, Jared Goff really did not throw the ball well. Like, every ball that came out of his hand looked like a wounded duck. And for those who don't know what a wounded duck is, it's just a wobbly ball that just has no life. There was a fourth down play where he had a Monrod. He had a Monroe on an open play, and the ball fell short of him.
Yeah,
just missed opportunity after missed opportunity here, but they didn't capitalize on what they needed to. We talked about it. I know, I said earlier in the week that Dan Campbell should take the points where he can take the points.
Right.
But then on Friday, I also said go ahead and just stick to what got you there. Well, they stuck to what got them there, and it
got them out of there,
well, to say the least.
It got them out of there. Yeah.
What the Lions did in the first half, the Niners ended up doing in the second half, which is basically they ran the ball and they were more efficient with that there. The game plan was smart. They opened up the second half with Deebo Samuel because he was non-existent in the first half here. And I think he's if it wasn't for McCaffrey being on the team, he's probably their best playmaker in open space. When you think the play is dead, that man can find a way to get those extra yards here. So they started out right. Brock Purdy turned into Lamar Jackson on a couple of plays. I mean,
Yeah, he went
who would have
crazy with his
thought?
feet, man.
He went crazy with his feet as well. And the Niners, they drank that secret sauce from what was the movie Space Jam,
Yeah, no,
and turned it around. It was
it
weird.
was almost like Jed York showed up with a suitcase with $1 billion in front of the Campbell, and that was the end of the game. I don't know what happened, but it was a tale of two different halves. Man, I
Oh
just,
God.
dude. I mean, look, the bottom line. Look, the Detroit Lions had to make plays, man, and there were so many plays where they just
Yep.
dropped the ball on these third downs. You had plays where guys, like for instance, the play at the end of the game where Brandon Ayuk leaps in front of a ball that bounces off the face mask of a defender. Again, these are the types of things that are maddening because as great as Brock Purdy is, and he did a lot of work with his feet, a lot of these things are disguised under these plays that the Niners
Yes.
made that the Detroit Lions did not. Let me tell you, if he catches that interception where they are in that game, towards the end of the game, going towards, in the end zone, the game that completely changes the game. And although he did throw an interception earlier, it just, again, it was, in my opinion, this is the second week in a row that the 49ers have survived. Now, they did everything they could to get themselves back in this game. I'm not taking that away from them. But I
Nope.
will say that there were things outside of their control that contributed to them winning the game. And a lot of that was Detroit making some bonehead decisions or just not able to bring in the ball for a catch or not catch that interception or at least bat the ball down so it's not a long play. Or the fact that they went for it in the second half two different times, which were game-changing decisions. So I want to talk about this real quick, B, because you mentioned earlier, Dan Campbell's got to stay Dan Campbell. They're going to go for it on fourth down. A lot of the analytics and statistics show that it's a better idea to go for it on fourth and short than it is to kick the field goal. Here's what I think the stats are missing. Anytime you turn the ball over on a fourth down, one, not only are you giving the other team, in most cases, better field position than a kickoff, you're losing points on the board if you don't get it done. But the most important thing is you're giving them hope. You're giving them momentum. And I feel like that's what was missing from that. Dan Campbell kind of has to understand that a 49er team that's been that good all year is just waiting for the opportunity to get that back so that they can carry it through. And that's what they gave them by them stopping them on a fourth and short in their own red zone. Hey, that's all they needed to do. Once they got that play, they marched right up the field. Yeah. They got a touchdown. And to me, that was the end of the game because I felt like you're handing them the momentum instead of at least getting the points, punting, get the kickoff, give your defense a chance.
I think where the game really shifted, though, was the Niners opened up the second half with a touchdown and then proceeded to recover a fumble or to strip for a fumble as well.
Yeah.
I think all of that momentum really changed everything. But that's where I'm going to say it, where the good teams capitalize on those kind of miscues here. The Lions had every opportunity to extend the lead during the game here, or at least just try to keep pace with the 49ers. And they did not, and they didn't execute that there. Every mistake from the Lions in that second half gave the Niners every single momentum after play after play after play. They were gaining all that confidence to get back into the game. In a blink of an eye, it was a tie game. That's how quick that game changed. It was just like that. The Niners got the turnover that they needed.
Yeah.
It was all downhill after that for the Lions. But if it wasn't for that touchdown in the last 2 minutes, it was over.
Yeah, but even after that, they get the fumble. The Niners are making their comeback. The Detroit Lions, we were looking, where's the response? Detroit made a great drive. They got all the way down into the red zone, and show that, hey, we're still here to play. The problem was they didn't come away with any points. I mean, it's one thing if the other team is making some type of comeback, but that's going to happen. This is a playoff game. You don't expect the Niners to lay down. You're going to have to win the game. And they were right there with that opportunity. And instead of taking that fourth down and kicking the field goal for the 3 points, you turn it over to a team that just got the ball 2 times, that just scored a touchdown. Like, you can't do that. You have to at least get the points on the board. Give yourself and your defense an opportunity without giving them more momentum on top of what they already had. In my opinion, that changed the game because Detroit was moving the ball. It's like, oh, cool. Detroit got an answer for them. That's great. They moving the ball. They getting it done. You still had a lead. Kick the damn field goal. Kick the field goal. Go up. You lost by 3.
Look at the score at the end of the game.
You lost by 3. You had 2 opportunities to kick a field goal inside the 30, what was it, maybe 35-yard line? And both times you went for it, you gave up 6 points. I'm sorry, but whatever the analytics say, they're wrong. It doesn't take into the account the time, the context of the game in the moment. And in that moment, the Niners were on a run, and you needed to break that run. They didn't score until the last seconds of the game, the entire second half. You don't mean to tell me putting 3 points or 6 points on the board would have helped you? Yeah, absolutely it would have. It would have did something for you. So it's just, I think I understand why Dan Snyder, why he does it. It's just, not Dan Snyder, excuse me. That's the owner of the old owner.
Dan Campbell.
Dan Campbell.
Yeah, Dan, we don't talk about Dan Snyder, okay?
Not anymore. But yeah, I think that killed him, man. I really think that killed him.
Yeah. I mean, the Lions just, I don't know, dude, all they had to do was just score a touchdown. A touchdown, that's all they really needed.
A field goal, actually. I mean, they lost by 3.
That's all they really needed here. But, look, the Niners, I don't know what's going on with them, but these first half slow starts, dude, I don't know how they're pulling this off, coming back from double digits. It happened last week against the Packers. Yeah. The Lions were a far more better team than the Packers were. And then all of a sudden, it's like they just turned a different switch, you know? Yeah, and the Lions needed to know that was going to happen. The Niners did not earn the number 1 seed just for the hell of it.
Right.
There was a reason why they were the number 1 seed, because they do not go down quietly. So you have to capitalize. That's where the points came in. But Dan Campbell, man, I mean, true to his word, 4th down, it happened in the first quarter.
Yeah.
He had a 4th and 1 in their own territory, and he went for it. So if he had not gone for it then there may be a different change. But the minute he went for it on 4th down, you knew nothing was going to change in this game here. I'd just say maybe the first half stick to your game plan. But when you know there's 30 minutes of football between you and the Super Bowl, points. Yeah. And that big old goose egg up until the last minute, man, they're lucky it wasn't a bigger blowout.
Yeah. Absolutely, and man, let's get caught up in the chat. Folks are going crazy here, especially we've got Bobby and Mama Birdie in here. Mama Birdie with Hello Boys 49ers are going to the ship. Name the movie. What movie is that?
What's that movie with Keanu Reeves with the baseball team?
Oh, baseball team.
G Baby. It was the Cucumbers, G Baby. What am I missing?
Yeah, dude, I don't know.
We'll get back to that. Bobby says, "Don't cry." I'm not crying. I was over it after a while here. I knew the Niners were gonna make a comeback, and now I just hope they whoop the Chiefs' ass, dude. We'll talk about that game in a little bit here. Yeah. Hardball. Thank you, JJ. Hardball was the movie here. What's a wounded raven? What you saw on national television today was a wounded raven. What did y'all think about the Tucker, Mahomes, and Kelsey pregame shenanigans? We'll get to the Ravens and Chiefs game in a second. Effects, what's going on, man? Happy Sunday to you as well. Hope you are doing well. And JJ, what's up, JJ? Hardball. We got to that one earlier here.
Yeah, absolutely. So let's I guess we could start talking about the next. Actually, let's go back to the first game, and then we could talk about our Super Bowl matchup afterwards, if that makes sense. And yes, JJ, thank you. Yes, Lakers with a nice win last night with a recuperated and invigorated D'Lo in there, making a 3 that just shook the entire Chase Center. But we can't talk about that right now. We got to talk about football. But thank you, JJ, for the reminder. let's go back to the first game and let's talk about the unfortunate game between the Ravens and the Chiefs. And maybe we should start with that. The fact that the whole shenanigans with the, I don't know, what were they trying to mess up Patrick Mahomes' pregame warm up or whatever that garbage was, and then Kelsey comes out and throws all the helmets and balls out of the way of his quarterback. I want to say I didn't like the look because I felt like it was the start of what was a problem throughout the game, and there was a lot of fake tough stuff going on with the Ravens. I didn't like that. A lot of fake toughness. I don't like the shenanigans at the beginning of the game. I don't like the fact that they wanted to do a lot of shouting and hollering with Queen and the rest against Travis Kelce and all these guys, because it almost felt like the Ravens came into this game thinking they were tougher than the team they were playing against. And unfortunately, I guess no one thought about the fact that the Chiefs defense actually came to play. And that's where the game started to turn. And, look, man, your team took some hits, bro. I mean,
they were self-induced hits.
They
everything was self-induced today.
They were out there, they were out there thinking that they were gonna be a little bit more dominant with this team as they had been with other teams in the past. And like I said, I just don't think that they expected to have a team blitzing, mind you, blitzing Lamar Jackson.
Yeah, they blitzed a lot.
Most teams don't do that because they're scared that Lamar Jackson is going to run for 50, 100 yards, whatever. But the Chiefs were pretty stern on they were going to get to the quarterback no matter what against a very mobile quarterback. And were fairly staunch against the run game throughout. And I thought that was a huge difference in the game. I just felt like it was like, yeah, we're tough. But then all of a sudden it was the Chiefs laying the blows. You got your boy Zay Flowers standing over people. But then when he gets to the end zone, the ball gets punched out. And then, you saw what happened with that. And I don't know. They seemed like a team that wasn't seasoned and ready to be there. That's what I felt going in.
They were ready.
I don't think they were.
That defense was ready here. Now, outside of that first drive, they made it difficult for Kansas City, to say the least here, because Kansas City, they had every opportunity to blow this game out of the water. They kicked a field goal at the end of the first half. There was really nothing much going on in the second half. The Ravens defense did everything they could to keep that game from getting out of control. Now, what Roquan Smith and Patrick Queen were doing, I'm not really 100% sure. Kelsey looks like he was like flicking him off of his jersey to say the least. You know what I'm saying? Look, the Ravens defense was looking to set the tone, and they were setting the tone because they were flying around the field. The problem was they were doing it at all the wrong times. Too many roughing the passers.
Yeah, penalties.
Unsportsmanlike conduct. The penalties could not have happened at a worse time. And I think the biggest backbreaker was Zay Flowers. He had an amazing game today.
Yeah, he did.
Dude, he was their best offensive player. But he was also the dumbest offensive player on the field. You have to know the moment. I was telling my sister while we were watching the game what he should have done when he pushed the defender down, because that's not what the penalty was for. He should have just walked away and threw the ball on him. That's all he should have done instead of standing over him and then spinning the ball on him. 15 yards. And then he has the opportunity to redeem himself. And just 2 plays later, proceeds to think that he is Superman at 180 pounds. And credit to the Chiefs defense, man. That was a bang knockout of the ball there. And it changed the game forever.
Yeah.
It changed everything for them. The Ravens had every opportunity to score in the red zone, and they could not capitalize. And for some reason, the Chiefs receivers decided to catch the ball.
I know, right? What was that about?
in the biggest moment on that third down, after the 2-minute warning,
hey, your boy
Scantling is falling backwards.
Marquez Valdez Scantling.
He is falling backwards and goes, "Oh, I'm gonna catch this one to go to the Super Bowl."
Yeah.
What? Dude, you didn't caught a pass all year,
Oh,
and
man.
Kadarius Toney wasn't even on the field. I much rather would have had him because at least he would have been lining up offsides all day.
Yeah, right.
You know?
Yeah, well, that's why he wasn't playing. And you talked about the linebackers, Queen and is it Smith? Right? Did I get it right?
Yeah, Queen and Smith.
The problem with them was, as great as they are, them trying to cover Kelsey in space was a freaking nightmare, and that's why most of the time they were jawing. But at the same time, it's like these guys are great players, and they could definitely get end to end with any team. The problem is you can't cover that guy in space like that, and they struggled with being able to do so. They tried playing zone, they tried playing man, and it didn't work out for them. And ultimately, they only gave up 17 points. But the problem is on the other end of the ball. You have to keep in mind that the Baltimore only scored 7 points the entire game until, well, the right around the bitter end.
The field goal.
Yeah, so
the field goal at the end.
Yeah, so I mean, this was a game where we thought we would see a much more, robust. This was the game for Lamar Jackson to put himself on the map, playing against Patrick Mahomes. I'm the man. I'm going to run the ball. They can't contain me. I'm going to run it. I'm going to throw it. And I think we saw maybe one drive where we saw that. But it never came to fruition. He never was able to really get it going. They never got the run game going at all. And, the few big plays he made to Zay Flowers, one of them being a fumble at the goal line, unfortunately. Outside of that, nobody else really got the ball. I mean, you got one. Let's look at it. You got 5 receptions for Zay for 115 and a touchdown, 1 to Aguilar, 4 to Justice Hill, 3 to Odell Beckham, who just came out of nowhere in like the fourth quarter and started playing for some reason. But other than that, I mean, you're looking at a very inefficient game, unfortunately, for Lamar Jackson, who at times felt like he had a lot of time to throw. And I don't know if it was just because of the Kansas City defense that kind of helped cover things. And then there were other times where, I don't know, it just looked like he was shell-shocked. There were a couple of times.
He picked the worst game to stop running the ball.
Yeah.
He picked the worst game to stop running.
Yeah, he did.
They forced him to be a thrower. They really forced him to throw the ball more than he wanted to, probably. He threw the ball 37 times today.
Yeah.
Like, there was no balance as far as running the ball. Gus Edwards was having a good year, and so was Justice Hill, and we got away from that.
How many carries?
They got away from running the ball.
Can you guess how many carries that Gus Edwards had?
3. He had 3 carries.
3 carries the entire game. I don't know if they just kind of abandoned the run. I mean, it's almost like the Baltimore Ravens were saying, this is Lamar Jackson's game. And that did not end well. It did not end well at all. The Chiefs did a great job of keeping him inside the pocket for most of the first half. And then in the second half, they added keeping inside the pocket to blitzing the gaps. And then all of a sudden, now the man's getting sacked. And then when he did have opportunities to throw the ball, especially in the fourth quarter, that ball was just, he overshot a few guys on deep routes.
Yeah,
he
bad passes.
You start seeing it in his eyes. He started hanging. I remember one play I saw where it was in the fourth, and you visibly saw him hang his head, and at that point I'm like, well, it's over, because he lost the confidence. He lost the mojo. He doesn't feel like he can do it, and he's forcing the issue. And his coaching staff didn't give him much help. I will say that. They didn't do enough in the run game or maybe short pass game or something to kind of help get him going. And for whatever reasons, the Chiefs really understood what to do to keep him from getting loose. Like I said, they did a great job of just containing the pocket early, and then later in the game, they start shooting those gaps at the same time with blitzes nonetheless, and sacked him a couple of times, there were a couple of sacks, one of them that put them out of field goal range, which really, really, really messed up the game for them. And I believe it was in the third quarter. So, yeah, man, it was tough.
But you remember what I told you. Lamar did not need to revert to the old Lamar, and he sure the hell did. The strip, this the sack fumble. I'm not,
Yeah, I mean
I'm
that
not
just
really,
happens.
I'm not putting that on him. But thrown to the tight end in the middle of the field with three defenders around him, and then overthrowing him. You
I
know,
don't know what that
no,
was.
he
He
underthrew him.
underthrew him. Yeah.
He underthrew him. And dude, he likely he's calling for the ball with two defenders on
Exactly.
him.
That's what I said. What?
Like,
What?
what are
Put your
you?
hand down. Put your hand down. There's three guys right there. It's stupid.
There's no need for him to throw the ball in that direction.
No.
I just, as confident as I was going into this game, in the back of my mind, I'm like, Lamar's still under 500 in these postseason games. Today was the day for him to him solidify that moment. That's all he talked about all year was getting into that AFC championship to take him to the Super Bowl. He had the home field. Everything was there for him.
Yeah.
They responded to a touchdown that Kansas City came out and did in the on their first possession. He responded with a very, very good throw to Zay Flowers on that touchdown ball. And they just never got to capitalize going forward from there. And it was just so hard to watch. But my big thing here are the penalties. It just stupid ones from bumping Travis Kelce in the face.
Yeah, Van
to
Noy, yeah.
Van Noy did it. Javion Clowney's little personal foul. I mean, it wasn't really roughing the passer, but I mean, he led with the crown of his helmet.
Yeah, they're gonna
So
call it.
I think that's why you saw a little more. And then to top it all off, Patrick Mahomes gets punched in the face because the guy's trying to swat at the ball and ends up catching a fist to his dome. And it was just the wrong time. It was a wrong time for everything. Is when these penalties happen, and they shot themselves in the foot time after time after time here.
Yeah.
When their defense held Kansas City, I'm sitting there and I'm like, I can't believe Patrick Mahomes he had a perfect game. What he did today, you couldn't have asked for a better output. And I'm sitting there, I'm like, you guys gotta sack him.
Yeah.
But I'm like, oh wait, we have a quarterback that does the exact same thing. So now I know the frustration that other people go through.
Yeah.
When you think Lamar Jackson is dead in the waters and he gets out of it. When they had a chance at Patrick Mahomes, they couldn't get to him. But that's what makes him unfortunately good here. But yeah, Travis Kelce absolutely torched the Ravens here, going 11 receptions, 116 yards on an average of 10 yards a catch. Yeah. Outrageous.
Yeah, man. And the one thing
it happened.
The Chiefs did not abandon the run game. And it's funny that they're the team that didn't abandon it when usually you're used to the Baltimore Ravens being the team that's more of a running team. Pacheco ran 24 times. Now, his average per carry was only less than 3 yards. But what they were trying to do was keep him honest, and that's what they did throughout the game. They rushed the ball about 30 times. They threw the ball about close to 40 at 39 times. And to your point, Pat went 30 for 39, 241, one touchdown, 2 sacks. He was sacked twice. And it really looked, especially throughout the rest of the game, it almost seemed like the roles were reversed. It was like we were watching a great defensive team with a quarterback who was just trying to manage the game to win, just for them to win. That's what it looked like. Pat wasn't making any huge plays this game. There weren't any 60-yard bombs or anything. Nothing crazy happened. But the Kansas City defense played so well that all they needed to do was eat up enough time on the clock, move the ball down the field enough, and get enough points on the board, and then turn it over to their defense to win the game for them. And that's kind of how it went. So I don't know, man. I mean, Lamar Jackson struggled. A lot of this we can say is, I feel like a lot of this is mental for him. And I think they do need to get more wide receivers to put around Lamar Jackson for him to have folks to throw to. But I feel like the intensity of the situation and sort of just like you talked about not being below 500 or in the playoffs or whatever it is, that stuff started to creep back in on him. And as well as I do, when you're a quarterback, there's no room for that. There's no room for that. Well, me and you could talk as much crap as we want about Jared Goff and how he's failed with the Rams or or it got demoted and then got shipped. That guy was still balling. Even at the end of the game, he was still playing. And although they had a lot of missed opportunities, I at no point did I look in his eyes and think that he was done. Lamar Jackson was hanging his head. There was a lot of frustration from a lot of different guys. Zay Flowers tossing the helmet. Guys were getting, and of course it's an intense game, but that's the type of thing you have to be able to get back up from and be able to still compete. And I feel like they kind of lost that. They lost it. And as you can imagine, and you watch this game drive after drive after drive of punting the ball. It got to him. It was like we can't get anything going. We can't get anything going. So
let's get a little caught up in the chat. Here's everyone was we got basically Bobby talking about the game here. He said, "Yeah, Lamar choked just like Josh Allen in golf." I mean, you still need to give credit to where credit's due, and that's the Chiefs' defense. They made it difficult for him, but Lamar didn't go back to what got him out of these situations, which was his feet, getting out of the pocket, forcing safeties to come up, and that's why when you look at the rushing yards for the Baltimore Ravens, 16 carries as a team.
And 8 of those are Lamar Jackson, by the way. So
yes.
So a running back only touched the ball 3 times.
Yeah. A legitimate running back on average was touching the ball 3 times. That cannot happen. You got to set the tone for the passing game by running the ball. The Niners were a clear example in the second half. They got to what got them into this position by running the ball, which opened up easier throws for Brock Purdy. Yeah. Lamar Jackson was throwing very difficult passes because they did not want to establish the run. I mean, Kansas City wasn't afraid to do that. Their biggest contributor was 68 yards, but it kept Baltimore's defense up in the box just a little more for those plays like Kelsey to go over the top, and it works. So it's tough that they just could not stick to that there.
Yeah.
There's one for you. I did love the throw and catch to himself.
That was a great play. That was
a heads up play here. Ball was straight to the air, and you can see him just in stride run, catch the ball, took it for 13 yards here.
Yep,
first quarterback to throw it to himself, literally.
There you go. I was playing the game for the Ravens right there, honestly. But yeah, that was a great. And
then Bobby says, I hope the Raiders take away Chris Jones from the Chiefs in the offseason. It's going to cost quite a bit of money. But I think Chris Jones was only on a franchise contract this year, if I remember correctly. Because I think they had a hard time getting a deal done for him.
Yeah, before the season began. Yep.
And then our man, Drunk Man, welcome back to the show. He goes, man, it was supposed to be Lamar's season. Somebody said Lamar, the Joel Embiid of the NFL.
Oh, man. Joel Embiid.
He's not wrong.
If you remember, we talked about this before, and I believe that the person I used was James Harden, in the fact that you don't want to be the James Harden of the NFL, just because Harden
he's turning into it.
Great regular seasons, but man, in the playoffs, he's crap.
Nowhere to be found.
Can't
nowhere to be found, man.
Can't do
and
nothing.
He kept. That's now Lamar's got to live with this for another offseason. Until the preseason comes around. I think the weapons are there. Zay Flowers obviously turned into something special this year.
Yeah.
Outside of that third quarter, I think he's going to be their top go-getter there. And Odell Beckham, man, how many passes he had? All in the fourth quarter.
All in the fourth, yeah.
Yeah, but that was all in the fourth quarter.
Yeah.
You're not utilizing a really good. He still has game too. He showed it this year when they utilized him.
Yeah.
I think they probably will go out and get a wide receiver to help counter Zay Flowers here. I think the running game is just fine, and we still haven't seen J.K. Dobbins because he can't even stay on the field for more than 2 games. He had another ACL injury. But Gus Edwards, Justice Hill is a good combination. Likely showed himself real good this year. Mark Andrews came back, for this one specific game. The weapons are there. I think the defense is phenomenal. Kyle Hamilton is going to be a force. He was flying on the field today. So it's there. It's all about Lamar at this point here on what he's going to be able to do to get this team to be better. He's got to be better in these big time situations here. Time and time again, if it's not a blowout, he he buckles in these close games. All last year he did it, and in this point he did it again here. So
Yeah.
I'm going to be the hardest critic of Lamar. He does great things, but when it comes to the most, he's not there, and it clearly showed. And God bless it, Patrick Mahomes
Did it again.
did it again.
Hey, I said it, okay? You can't underestimate the heart of a champion, right? Like the one it's one thing to say you want to be a champion. It's another thing to go up against a team that's won 2 Super Bowls. I mean, these guys have been playing together for a little while now. They have that experience. They know what it means to ratchet it up and not get swayed by a touchdown or swayed by a field goal or swayed by a turnover. And so they know what to do mentally to keep themselves going. And I feel like, like I said, the Ravens have to find that. I'm curious though, what you think as a Ravens fan. Do they look to make any moves, or do you just kind of go with the same, the same thing? You go with the same group.
I think you go with the same group, but you just add a one. Bless you, my brother.
Thank you.
I think you just go with one, or I think you're just missing a couple pieces. Quite honestly, they're just missing a second wide receiver. Nelson Aguilar, outside of Zay Flowers, Rashad Bateman wasn't around. He was a no-show. Nelson Aguilar dropped passes. It's like, dude, the wide receiver corps just dropped too many passes today. That was the other thing too.
Yeah.
It was just bad. Bobby coming back with Odell didn't do too much. He didn't do much. Well, he didn't get a lot of chances to do anything. Angel says, "What's up, Brian? What's up, Angel man? Hope you're doing well." So, Bobby says Odell is non-existent, like my brother's brain. That thing is zero existent. I don't even know why you put an emoji there for your brother's brain because it's gone, to say the least. Here, that's an inside joke for us.
All right. Well, I mean, it's obvious.
Let me
go ahead.
I was just going to ask. I mean, we've seen. Let's talk about the Chiefs. We have to, because they're now the New England Patriots of the AFC. I think it's clear that they're that team now, and you see them as much because they play in the AFC West.
Yeah.
I mean, how long do you think this can go for them? This has got to come to an end.
Yeah, at some point it does. The problem is the teams that are around them aren't challenging them. I mean, we've seen this. We had the Cincinnati Bengals who showed up and beat them on their way to a Super Bowl loss. But when you look at the Raiders are making strides. The Chargers got a new coach, but they're still a ways away. The Denver Broncos are a steaming hot pile of mile high dog crap, and so that doesn't they're not in there. Then you look at the Bills, who have been up and coming for like 3 years now. You can't be up and coming for 3 years. You got to actually make something happen. And you start to look around and you're like, well, Miami, maybe them. Sorry, they can't play in cold weather. So as long as KC or the Bills or any of these other East Coast teams are hosting a playoff game, the Miami ain't getting it unless Miami has home field throughout. And then, I don't see a clear path to beating this team. The Chiefs, the Chiefs have the best quarterback in the game, and generally when you have that, it's going to be tough. You can't replicate that. And you saw that today in the game. You can't replicate what this guy does. You can't replicate the cohesiveness of a team that's been in these types of situations before. So yeah, man, I think it's going to go on for a while. You're going to have to wait for some of these younger quarterbacks to climb the tree. I love my Raiders, but the Raiders have to get better offensively real quick in order to keep up with the Chiefs and where they are, because they do the same thing. The Chiefs do the same thing every year. They do the same thing every weekend. So yeah, man.
Well, let's foreshadow. We got 2 weeks to talk about it, but we all know who is now participating in the Super Bowl. Mm-hmm. It is the Chiefs and 49ers in a rematch of Super Bowl 54 that the Niners let get away from them here. Now, obviously, these are 2 different teams now. Kansas City still kind of stays the same. I think the wide receiver course is a little different. But This is a very compelling matchup to say the least here because we've seen the Niners start off slow, 2 playoff games already, and come back. Do you think that they could do that against the Kansas City Chiefs?
Okay, so there's a couple of things that you have to be wary of, and I think one of the things that may contribute to some of these slow starts is I think Brock Purdy has been playing really great. He's been playing out of his mind, but we also have to understand he's still just a second year player. I mean, he's going to be playing in a Super Bowl against a more experienced, team and quarterback. I think the 49ers defense has been stellar most of the regular season, but they haven't been very good these last 2 playoff games. And this is what I mean by missed opportunities kind of masking some of these things. I don't know if you noticed, but Detroit didn't have any problem running the ball. They had
No,
no
they did
problem
not.
running the ball. None. None. And this is one of the better defenses in the league. Kansas City presents a problem in that one. They're going to run the ball no matter what. Whatever their game plan is, it's going to be balanced and they're going to stick to it. They're not just going to go away from it because they're up by 20 points. They didn't do it today. They're not going to do it next week. Or excuse me, next couple of weeks in the Super Bowl. The other thing is Pat Mahomes. You got to find a way to put him on his butt. And although the 49ers are pretty darn good at doing that, during the regular season. I have to go back and look. I think they may have sacked Jared Goff today, maybe 5 times. No, excuse me, maybe twice. Let me look up the stat.
No, they got to him. They got to him. They got to him a
few
few times here, but that's because Jared Goff's not a mobile.
Yeah, he's not a
quarterback.
mobile quarterback.
Right? He's a traditional pocket passer.
So you're playing against a quarterback that's not statuesque. He's not just going to be standing back there waiting for you. So yeah, the Niners have to find a way to get to him and put some pressure on him. And so I don't know. This is tough. I think the inexperience of the Niners could show up at any point in this game, whether it be a Brock Purdy throw or a Brock Purdy sack or whatever. It can rear its ugly head. It did in this game. The question is, when we get into the thick of things, what team will move forward? What team will not take advantage of the mistakes of the 49ers, the way that Detroit could not do, the way that Green Bay in the second half was not able to do? And because I got to be honest with you, the 49ers have played against 2 fairly, and I want to try to be kind about this, mediocre defenses. Okay? No, does anybody else know anything about the Green Bay defense before they played the 49ers? Anybody? Nobody, right? So we can't put the Green Bay defense as being one of the top. No, they weren't. Detroit's defense, they got a pass rusher. They can do some things, but they're generally crap against the pass. So you're looking at 2 different type. You're looking at, lesser defenses. The Kansas City Chiefs, we talked about this before the Ravens game. If the Chiefs can find a way to be the same defensive team they were about 3/4 through the season, that team's going to be tough to beat because that team was a defensive team, a defensive-minded team. And so it's not going to be, 49er fans, just so you know, because I've watched this team play a lot, it's not going to be very easy to throw the ball against this team. It's not going to be as easy to run against them either. So you're going to have to be in a position to where things are going to be ugly for a little while and be able to get over that. And that's kind of what the Niners are going to have to work through. And they worked through some of that today. It's just that, again, Kansas City, I think, has a better defensive squad. I think the Niners have a great defense. It's just that the last 2 weeks, they haven't really shown that. And if the team that shows up that played the Green Bay, that played against Detroit, comes and plays the same way against Kansas City, they might not come out of it with a win.
Yeah, and there's another good point that Bobby brought up is Patrick Mahomes don't show any kind of like troubling in the pocket. Like he stays cool under pressure. You didn't see any panic movement from him in this game here today. And the Ravens were trying to send a message to him early by knocking him on his ass, and he still stuck to it. But we've known this. The Niners cannot start slow. They got away with it twice this week and last week, but you're not getting away with it with a team as experienced as the Kansas City Chiefs. because they will take advantage of every opportunity. Baltimore didn't get Baltimore didn't really give them too much of an opportunity to take, but the Chiefs are just different. They will. And God forbid their receivers start catching the damn ball in the Super Bowl,
Right.
to say the least here. You know? But Isaiah Pacheco will be the toughest running back that they go against this in the Super Bowl here. And that front for the Niners has to get better at setting the edge and stopping these 5, 6 yards. Because it's not happening outside of the tackles, it's happening inside the box
Yeah.
where these guys are getting 5, 6 yards on them. So they got to do a better job against the against the run. And a guy like Pacheco has every opportunity to break it. And Kansas City will force feed Pacheco until they start seeing that defense creep up here. And here's what we didn't talk about. Laporta had a great game
Yeah, he did. Yeah,
today
he did.
against the Niners here.
Oh,
Imagine what Travis Kelce is going to do
yeah,
on that end
yeah.
against Fred Warner, against Greenlaw, you know? And so they can just get away with those two to say and set the tone here. But I'm just, this is going to be a great game. Obviously, everyone's going to get some rest here. But the Niners, if we're talking Niners because we are in the Bay Area, they've got to worry about the tight end and they got to worry about the running game. Kansas City's they're not gonna throw the ball that deep, but if they get that going, Valdez Scantling will probably end up catching the ball on his ass again. Knowing our luck. Knowing our luck, he's gonna fall down and catch another ball.
Yeah, man, and not to mention you're also going up against Andy Reid as well. And one thing we saw a lot today with Detroit was a lot of misdirection, a ton of misdirection against the 49ers defense, and a lot of it equaled fairly big plays, or at least plays for 6 yards, chunk plays for first downs. You can expect to see a whole lot of that with Andy Reid because he does that all the time. So there will be a lot of fake handoffs to the left only to go right. There will be a lot of fake handoff and tosses out to a wide receiver on the end around. There's going to be a lot of that. So the 49ers hopefully got a good dose of it against Detroit and saw what it looked like so that they can make the necessary adjustments, because that's what the only difference is. Patrick Mahomes is going to do the same thing, but then he's going to throw it to Travis Kelce. That's the only thing that's going to change in the game. Instead of it being golf to Laporta, it's going to be him to Kelce. And he's going to look for the open holes in the zone. He's going to sit in them. He's going to catch the ball for 5 yards, 6 yards. Basically, you're going to get beat to death by 5 to 10 yard receptions throughout a majority of the game. And again, like I said, on the other side of the ball, for all Niner fans, I'm just letting you know, the Chiefs defense is better than you think. Just don't, you know what I mean? Don't be surprised. They're better than you think. Expect it to be somewhat of a slog. Don't expect to come out and just put up 20 points. Expect that they're going to be up in your face, that they're going to try to get to the quarterback. They just played against Lamar Jackson, the most athletic, football player, at the quarterback position in the league. And they did a great job of making sure they contained him. They did the same exact thing to Josh Allen, who is also known for running the ball. So the Chiefs understand what's going on as far as containment. They do a good job of containing the edges and then blitzing the seams. That's what you can expect to see. So hopefully, and not to say the Niners can't be that, because the Niners are good at drawing up run plays, short yardage plays that equal, yards after carry. So they're going to need to see a lot of that. Brock Purdy's going to have to get the ball out of his hands quickly. He's going to have to get some quick throws, especially early in the game. Get him going, get him feeling confident. I think that's going to be very important, because the one interception he throws, the one fumble he has, is going to mean a hell of a lot more this game than it will be in this last one. I can promise you that.
Yeah, and I think so. A couple of things to some of the points here. The Niners got to get George Kittle the ball more often, man. He has been non-existent, or he was non-existent in this NFC Championship game. Like, you saw the way the Lions used Laporta in there. The Niners should have countered with George Kittle, and George Kittle's a far better tight end than Laporta. So the Niners are going to have to get that established as well. Now, are we asking a lot? Absolutely, but that's their DNA. When things aren't going right, your tight end is your safety valve, and you've got a real good one. If you You got the two best tight ends playing in the Super Bowl. Clear. Travis Kelce and George Kittle. But one gets used more than the other, you know?
Yeah.
So it's going to come down, I think, to if George Kittle can maintain with Travis Kelce. And the Niners just got to take advantage of that. But it is going to come down to establishing the running game here.
Yeah. Yeah, on both sides of the ball, I would say.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, so let's I guess let's get caught up on the comments here. Where did we leave off? Man, where did we?
Where's a good one?
Well, yeah. What's up?
Bobby said.
What's up with
Bobby
your
said.
mom? What's up with your mom still loving Jimmy G?
Hey man, sure. My aunt.
I'm getting the sense.
Jimmy G.
I'm getting the sense that it's not because of his football play.
I don't think so, to say the least here. Bobby said that the Niners did not beat anybody good this year. I would love to see what Niner fans think about that. We didn't say it. Bobby did. So, Bobby, you have to defend yourself on this one. I predict the Niners win. God forbid the Chiefs win in the Raider Stadium. Let me ask you that, T. How bad is that going to feel if the Chiefs walk off with the Super Bowl in your team stadium?
I'm going to be brutally honest here. They wouldn't be the first team to beat us in our stadium. I mean, that would, they're not playing in Oakland anymore. It's not the Coliseum. It's Vegas, baby. And that's tourist. And so in Las Vegas, folks are traveling from all over to come and see their team play against the Raiders Sunday in and Sunday out. That's the reason they left. So I don't see it as being a home field advantage in any shape, form, or fashion. I'm a little bitter because I'm an Oakland native, so I apologize. But you wanted to go to Vegas? There you go. You got your Super Bowl. You're going to get tourism. I don't see it as being a home field thing because they've only been there for a couple of years.
I think what Bobby's mostly referring to here is it's your biggest rival, the Kansas City Chiefs, going into a Legion Stadium where your team plays to capture a Super Bowl. For me, that would be a tough pill to swallow, knowing that on your home field, your natural home field is where your biggest rival is going to potentially hoist a Lombardi trophy, to say the least here.
Yeah, well, we'll see. I mean, I'm not that concerned with it. Like I said, I'm bitter. So, I mean, you left to go to Vegas, then you're going to get tourism. Tourism means everybody else's team fans are showing up too. So it is what it is. I would have to travel to go to Vegas just to watch the Raiders play, so I'm sure anybody else can go see them too. They do have a long-standing rivalry against the Chiefs, but to be honest with you, in the last few years, it haven't been much of a rivalry at all. I think the Raiders should be, as a Raider fan, I want the Raiders to be concerned about making their team better. And this is what Mark Davis wanted. He wanted a Super Bowl in his stadium, so he got it. So basically, we weren't going to make it to the Super Bowl, so somebody was going to. So maybe it sucks that it's the Chiefs, but if the Niners win there, that doesn't make me feel good either. So it's like whatever.
And now we have the whole Taylor Swift thing. The NFL's got 2 more weeks of Taylor Swift and the Kansas City Chiefs as they capitalize on such a big moment here. Remember, Taylor Swift turned down the Super Bowl halftime show, and we get Usher. Don't get me wrong, just jazzed over seeing Usher dance his ass all over the Super Bowl field.
His 50-year-old ass. I mean, why don't dig Usher up out of the vault and throw him on stage? Man. What is with the NFL? First we get pregnant Rihanna. Now we got crippled, Usher. They can't find anybody that's made a song in the past 5 years, or what's going on? I guess
not. But when it comes to the halftime shows, well, here's the thing: when you have a residency in Vegas, you old.
Yeah.
They just don't put you there because you're a hot artist. They put you there because you old, and they just need people to come to enjoy a show here. JJ says, I'm not listening to Taylor for 2 weeks. You know what, JJ? And I know you're a big Taylor Swift fan as well. So, that's gonna be a little rough for you here. Yeah. But look, the NFL is getting what they wanted. You got a really, really good matchup between these two teams. You're going to have all the stars aligned. You got Hall of Famers on each side of the ball here. You've got the whole Taylor Swift thing.
Vegas.
Who I'm looking forward to see? Vegas. I'm looking forward to Jason Kelsey acting an
Oh
absolute
yeah,
animal.
that's gonna be great.
Vegas. I cannot wait for
we
that.
Should go to Vegas just to try to hunt him down. I mean, that can someone point us in the direction of Jason Kelsey so that we can talk?
I know Amazon Prime did a special on Jason Kelsey or the Kelsey brothers, to say the least.
Yeah.
They need to make sure a camera crew is following this man every
Vegas.
single minute around Vegas. I'm telling you, when it's his glory to go find a table to go through at a Bills tailgate, you need to follow him. I'm surprised he didn't do much today in Baltimore. I was really hoping it.
Yeah, can I
had to see Taylor Swift 3 times.
Yeah, the only thing more popular than Taylor Swift is going to be the horde of the stripper migration from all over the country to Vegas for Super Bowl weekend. God. Is going to be insane. Not to say that I frequent those places because I don't, but I understand how it works. And yeah, man, Vegas is a weird place to have a Super Bowl, and it's gonna be very interesting to see what comes.
They are going to be coming out of the woodworks out there. They are going to be coming out of everywhere, to say the least. It's dude, we could talk about so much about this Super Bowl being in Vegas, to say the least.
Oh man, what player is going to go missing, right? Happen? Somebody's going to go missing, right? We got to get.
You know what? I wonder who would go missing here. I would say Kadarius Toney.
I was just gonna say that.
He would be the one guy to go missing.
Oh no!
On the Niners.
Why? So we could watch him drop a bottle of Hennessy because he can't hold anything.
I would say for the Niners, if there was a player to go missing, I'm gonna say Greenlaw's
going.
I think Greenlaw or Deebo Samuel would be the one of the Niner players to go missing.
Even if it doesn't get reported, there's gonna be one player that is not gonna be ready for the Super Bowl. There's gonna be one guy somebody's gonna have to get on the phone, locate him, kick open the door, and drag him into the stadium so that he's prepared for practice. They're gonna have to do it. Gonna happen.
They're gonna have to do a Dennis. They're gonna have to do a Dennis Rodman.
Exactly.
And Michael Jordan. Michael Jordan had to go get his ass from Vegas because he wouldn't leave. But look, 2 weeks of preparation. You got media day. You got all of this. Just the amount of temptation that is going to be in Las Vegas for that week. It's going to be a difficult challenge for a lot of these players here because during that week, they really seclude themselves. The preparation is extra. They go over detail. It's going to be a little hard to do that in a city that doesn't sleep, to say the least here.
Yeah.
This is going to be a big challenge for both teams here. Can you imagine Brock Purdy going out and just wilding out like a fool?
You know what? We talked about, Bobby was talking about, obviously trying to, trying to sabotage some stuff. What if we could get Jimmy G to rub shoulders with some players and take them out to dinner and just mess them up, just take them out. Could you imagine, if he just goes and gets Travis Kelce or goes and gets Patrick Mahomes or one of those young wide receivers, Rishi Rice or whoever, and goes out on the strip with him, both of those two guys together, and shows him a good time, just to make sure he doesn't make it just doesn't have quite the game that he could have.
Dude, that temptation is going to be terrible in Vegas, man. If we see an outrageous report, we'll know why.
Yeah.
It is going to come out. Someone was acting a damn fool. Can you imagine seeing Deebo Samuel walking out of the strip club at 6 a.m. in the morning and then going straight to practice, leaving the Spearmint Rhino? Come on, man.
First off, I know Mama Birdie, I know you love Jimmy G, so I won't talk bad about him. But let's just say Jimmy G is doing well for himself in the city of San.
100%. The guy was dating a porn star out here in the Bay Area. What makes you think he ain't doing himself good living in Las Vegas?
I'm telling you, man. Crazy. Crazy.
Oh man, Bobby
We
says I hope they eat at a Raiders restaurant and get
get
the
the
runs.
runs. That'll just make Pacheco
Man,
faster, man. That's all it's gonna do.
can
It's,
you imagine?
it's not, oh
Oh, make him
man.
lighter running against the Niners
Exactly,
here.
exactly. We
Oh,
got to put up
dude,
some
I can't wait.
prediction. Do you want to? We want to put up predictions, or you want to wait till Friday?
Well, we could do an early prediction here. I
Early
wouldn't mind it.
prediction.
With the Kansas City Chiefs.
All right, you got the Chiefs.
Look, it's not a knock to the Niners, but you start like that again in a Super Bowl, you're not coming back against the Chiefs here. That is too tall of a task against them here. And look, it's hard to bet against Patrick Mahomes. Like I had to witness this stuff firsthand today. The man was on point. There was not really he really didn't have a bad throw at all today. And so if he's playing that conservative in an AFC Championship, just think how pinpoint he could be in the Super Bowl.
Yeah.
And it's already shown. He's already come back and won Super Bowl.
Well,
I'll take the Chiefs for now. I don't know. We'll wait for the spread to start rolling out here because it's gonna bounce over the next couple of weeks.
yeah, it's going to be a close game either way. You know what? Unfortunately, I have to stick with the pick that I made at the very beginning of the season because it's the only one that's going well for me. I did pick the Chiefs to get to the Super Bowl and to win the Super Bowl at the beginning of the season, so I'm going to have to stick with that because, you know, I picked them at the beginning, and they're not playing the Vikings, obviously, which is the other team I picked. But, so I got to stick with the one pick that I made. You know, we'll see how it goes. I think it's going to be a great game. A lot of festivities, a lot of hoopla around this. I think this is going to be a great Super Bowl overall between these two teams. These are the best two teams left. Like realistically, they are. So, man, I'm juiced. I'm ready to see it. I always hate that you have to wait a week and watch this silly flag football game next weekend for whatever reason.
Well, at least all those Pro Bowlers, the Ravens had, can all play in this flag football game.
Damn, that's cool, man.
Am I wrong? I'm not wrong about it.
Lamar Jackson ain't showing up to that, man. He gonna be like, nah, I'm not playing in that. Man. I'm not playing.
He's still mad. He's still mad. In his post game, he said, "I'm mad." Well, yeah, you should be with your performance today.
Yeah.
Good Lord, man. 272 yards, damn near throwing the ball 37 times. Good God.
Man. Oh man. Well,
but
so we're juiced. We're ready, and we will. We're actually our next show, since there won't be any football, probably take some time to cover a little bit more basketball on the trade deadline. As that draws closer and closer, and both our teams suck. I'm gonna segue.
That's an understatement.
I'm gonna segue that into a brilliant game yesterday between the Lakers and the Warriors, where the Lakers came away with the win in double overtime as Steph Curry went for, 46 points. LeBron went
47.
47.
47 last night.
I think LeBron went for like 36 or something like that. He had a triple-double. And, you know, it was an interesting game. However, I wasn't very happy with your boy Draymond Green and all his weird shenanigans, man.
Draymond being Draymond. That's all I'm gonna say.
He had two plays where that should have been technical fouls with just slapping people. There we go with this arm slap thing where he just completely hits the person they have with his entire forearm. And it's like, oh, I'm going for the ball. My man, you don't have to swing up and swing through someone's body, over their head, mind you, to get to a ball. He did it twice in this game against, I believe there was one against Jared Vanderbilt.
Anthony Davis.
Yeah, and the other one he was against Anthony Davis. And then he also fouled LeBron by rubbing his hand in his face as he was going on a drive. It's just, you know, your boy is weird, bro. What's up with him? Why is he so strange?
He's probably trying to end his career, too. That's all I'm going to say.
It's like...
trying to end that, too.
What's wrong with this guy?
Hey, we got a shout-out. We got 9 people watching us right now, so thank you all for tuning in. We hope you guys enjoyed the football game as well. We're covering it a lot here. Let us know what you thought here. We can always circle back around to it here. Our basketball teams Two terrible teams decided to play each other yesterday, so we'll touch a little bit on that. But if you've got anything else, what you thought about both title games today, let us know here. T and I we're glued to our televisions, um, watching football. Hey, did you guys do anything like food wise, like
Oh yeah,
barbecue? What
yeah,
was kind of on the menu for today?
yeah. We did nachos. So my wife made. We had homemade chili, nachos, the old school
Okay,
cheese that comes in the can, sour cream, guacamole, um,
jalapenos. Throw
and
some
yes,
jalapenos in there.
yep.
Yes, sir.
So that was we had. So it was a good time. I'm really full. And we had some cake after that. So yeah, man, I'm spent. Yeah, but it was delicious. So yeah, that was the game treat, man. What did we? The first game I just kind of chilled and watched. The next game we had some company over. My family, my brother came over, my niece, and so we sat back and watched the game and pigged out on nachos. So it was good, man. How about you?
Ooh, we started out with breakfast in the morning with chorizo and eggs,
Oh, okay.
some potatoes. I made an attempt at making a burrito, just fell apart right in front of me here, so it was pretty sad to watch there. And then for the night, we did ribs, Spanish rice, chicken, this thing called broccoli salad, which was
Broccoli
there was
salad.
um,
What the hell is that?
there were grapes in this broccoli salad. I had to step away from that there. My aunt made some bomb ass coffee cookies that may keep me awake for a minute. They may make me pass out. Will be one of the two here. Um, what else? There's a chocolate pie as
Dang,
well.
man.
We got
Well,
man, we
goddamn.
got a lot of food. My dad made he made a charcuterie board. We overdo it when it comes to the food part, so it's a tradition. But hey, man, Super Bowl brings out a lot of good food here. But do you think the day after the Super Bowl should just be a regular holiday? Can you imagine that being a paid holiday from companies?
Yeah, I mean that would be pretty funny, man. But yeah, because most people don't show up anyway, and considering the fact that this is
No.
also we're in the Bay. This is also, and even up here where I'm at in Sacramento, everybody's a 49er fan up here. So
Yeah.
if the 49ers end up winning the Super Bowl, a lot of people are not going to be at work on Monday. They're just not. They're not going to be at work. I'm sorry. I caught COVID. I'm sick. I got the runs. I've got, what is it called? Explosive diarrhea. Yeah, I've got that. I
Yeah.
couldn't show up
Yeah.
for work today. So it's going to be a lot of that if that's what ends up happening.
And for all the 49er fans, it is 30 years to the day since their last championship.
Wow.
So 30 years of misery could come to an end in a couple weeks. That whole quest for six could come to could be finally taken care of for them here.
Yeah.
So a lot of things to take into place here. You got Patrick Mahomes, who is the by far the best. Is basically the Tom Brady of the NFL now, and that's just facts. They will do anything to protect this man at all costs to make sure he is playing here. And you witnessed that firsthand being a Raider fan, going against Tom Brady in a couple of playoff games
Yeah,
there.
forget
So,
him. I don't like him.
you got anything else?
No,
I could
no.
finally put an end to this day of football, to say the least.
Yeah, well, that's all we got for today. So, or at least all I have, and we appreciate everybody showing up and going big in the chat. Bobby, Mama Lay, JJ, Effects,
We
Angel,
got drunk.
Drunk. Yeah, Drunk popped up in there too. And yeah, so man, we appreciate you guys showing up and join us on Friday, or at least watch the video Friday for our Pick'em Dummies, and then we'll be back on Sunday, teeing up the Super Bowl again and talking probably some NBA trade rumor,
Basketball.
because that's probably what's going to be the most, what's going to be happening at the moment. So we're looking forward to it, y'all.
Oh man, I know. I'm looking forward to it too, man. There's one more football game before baseball and basketball.
Yeah, that's
Baseball's
right.
not doing too well here in the Bay Area, to say the least. So
Yeah, I loved how I loved
it's not gonna be
how
too
I
good.
loved how Doris Burke last night was trying to pump up Jonathan Kaminga like he was the greatest player she'd ever seen in her life.
Yeah.
Did you notice
What
that?
the hell? I mean, he's playing good over the last few games. Don't get me wrong.
Yeah, but
He's
it
playing
was
good.
she
But
was
man, she talked
almost
she talked about him like he was a Hall of Famer.
yeah, like he literally missed the layup. And I'm just thinking like what is going on with Doris Burke? I mean, she's turning into freaking Bill Walton over here. Just just throwing up all
Oh,
these.
don't do that to her like that.
Everybody's so
That's dirty.
he's the greatest player I've ever seen in my life. Oh my god, throw it down, big man. And then 1 quarter later he's like, this is the worst basketball I've ever seen. That guy was always up and down. But in
He needs to
any
make up his
case,
mind.
I'm glad ESPN thought that they wanted to do a Warriors broadcast. I thought that was cute. But anyway, I think that's all we got for today. Peace out to JJ.
Yep.
Good night, Mama Lay. Until Friday, I guess. If you like the video, go ahead and hit the like button. Go ahead and hit the subscribe button if you haven't already, and hit the notification button too. We appreciate it. We will be back Friday with Pick 'em Dummies, and then back in a week from today on Sunday with another great show. All right, y'all have a good night.
Appreciate you all.
Peace.